feel like they're fucking singing a duet. It's like fucking Band-Aid.
Do they know it's Seville time at all?
I feel like fucking... What's his name? Headley for... fucking... What's the name of the group? Spandau Ballet. Him and fucking Simon Le Bon. It's Christmas time.
There's no need to be afraid.
That was Paul Young.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone, it's Derek here from the I Ready podcast, and with me is my co-host Dave.
Derek, first of all, how are you feeling, mate? We've been out of action for a while. You've been into hospital, high drama. Just glad that you're back doing this, but how are you feeling most importantly?
And that's just by watching Rangers as well. That's no medical issues. Yes, I am very well, thanks Dave. On tablets for the rest of my life. Blood pressure is relatively normal now. I always said my blood pressure would go up when Rangers are about, so...
Exactly, and no more than what's going on at the moment. If this wasn't going to send you over the edge, I don't know what would, everything that's been going on. But glad you're back, mate. Glad we're back recording, and an absolutely huge event that we're going to be talking about on the pod today, as well as other things.
Yes, my hospital stay is the first thing. Yes, so... Apologies for not being about for the last wee while. Obviously, I put that tweet out like the day before we were meant to record, or it was the night of, I think.
Yeah.
And I had been not really rushed into hospital, but advised strongly to go to hospital, and it ended up in a 5-day stay in HDU. But I'm back on the mend now. We are only doing this podcast, and that'll be the last one for the foreseeable, to be honest, because we've got a lot to cover. We're not going into anything in great depth, simply because I can't remember it, and I've never watched some of the games as well. So, and I've never really taken notes, and to be honest with you, Dave, it's been a breath of fresh air actually watching the last few games without having to do any notes as well. So,
but did you do notes before, like?
Yes, so we're going to cover the last, I think, 11 games, but we're only going to very, very briefly cover them. As I said, this will be the last podcast for the next wee while, because then Dave and I have got holidays, we're away, we're not going to get the chance to do it at all, and we've only got a few games left anyway, but obviously the massive one in Seville to talk about as well.
Oh, incredible, Derek. I'll let you briefly get into the games that we've missed, and then we will obviously cover this game in depth.
Yes, so we'll go down the tunnel and onto the park. Onto the pitch even. So obviously we've got to start off this podcast with obviously the talk about the sad news about the passing of Jimmy Bell. An absolute shocker, Dave.
Derek, it came as a complete surprise. The man's a mainstay in the team, and it completely shocked everyone. It shocked the club completely to the core. It shocked the players, the backroom staff. Here is a man who was more highly thought of maybe than any manager, you know, especially when it comes to the players that he's had, you know, that have played for Rangers in the last 30 years. It's just been really, really tragic for the club, the supporters, the playing staff, the non-playing staff at the club. It's absolutely devastating news. Yeah,
I mean, it's another Rangers friend of the family kind of said to my dad that it's kind of hit him more, or it means more than any player or any other manager passing for some reason, for the fact that he has been there so long.
Yep.
He's technically been the most successful person in Ibrox. There, he's, I think, 30 trophies or something like that. He's something ridiculous.
Yes.
He's won. I mean, he's as you say, he's a mainstay. Or he was a mainstay of Ibrox. You always seen him on the touchline, you know, with the boards up. Given the fact that he started off as a driver, I think he was a mechanic for Parks as well, and that's how he ended up being being the driver for Rangers, just I was always remembering who is that guy when I was younger, and then getting told who he was and what he does.
On a sideline to that, Derek, I heard a story the other day which I was totally flabbergasted by. It was my uncle that got him the job as the Rangers driver.
Wow. That's crazy.
My uncle was the driver for Rangers before Parks took over. He was friends with Jimmy. My uncle was leaving and he got Jimmy the job as the driver, and he's going to his funeral. So a wee family connection there for me that I knew absolutely nothing about. He's told me loads of different stories about him. I think Derek is, from being a non-coach at the club, he's probably had more influence than nearly anyone that's been in that dressing room, and how he has connected with players from every background, every race, religion. Guys have had nothing to do with the club. I think that he's had more influence than any of the managers and players that have been there. And I think you speak to guys like Majid Bouguera, who have no links to the club whatsoever. And he quite clearly came out and said it was Jimmy Bell that really drummed it into him what it was to play for Rangers. Yeah. This was a kit man, Derek.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. The outpouring of sympathy from ex-players from all over the world has been incredible. There was one from Carlos Bocanegra that I saw last week, who didn't have a lot of playing time with Rangers. Absolutely devastated again, showing, what Jimmy Bell meant for the club and for the players. A huge loss for us, Derek, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, every single player that walked through the door had something good to say about him. All good stories. The guy epitomised Rangers, even maybe more so than Walter Smith. And to think the fact that we've lost Walter Smith and Jimmy Bell in the same season is absolutely devastating.
Yep.
Two of the, dare I say it, icons of Ibrox, of modern Ibrox, is just... is devastating. And as you said, he instilled what it meant to be a Ranger into every single person that walked through that door, every single player that walked into the dressing room. And it's gutting the fact that he never wrote a book, or there was no documentaries or anything like that about him, because the stories he could tell would have been amazing.
Incredible.
And you've seen some of the stories that coming out from Ali McCoist and Jermaine Defoe. Jimmy Bell offered him a drink of his special bottle, and he was like, no. And he said he had to drink it because it was Jimmy Bell. I mean, I don't know who is going to fill that role now. I mean, you can get anybody to fill a kitman's role, or a kitwoman's role as it is these days, but who's going to fill that role to make players understand what it means to play for Rangers? That's
again what I've heard, Derek. The staff that Jimmy worked with were completely devastated by this. We only have to hope that they lead by his example, or whoever takes over does. And they know the hugely important part. I mean, even going back to previous managers, Derek, there's not, he was such a help to them. The managers in the past. Alec McLeish had a glowing report about Jimmy Bell as well. And it goes back. It's, as I say, it's a huge loss to the club and to the support, because we know the influence that he did have in there. And again, the players shown that in that semi-final win against Leipzig. I'm sure the players will be wanting to go out and win this for him as well, Derek.
Absolutely. So, moving on now as best we can. Several games here. I'm going to do it slightly out of order because of the way it's happened here. We'll take all the Premiership games first. We've got quite a few of them to cover. As I said, no great depth whatsoever. The first one was Sunday the 3rd of April. It was a 2-1 loss at home to Celtic in the Premiership, and that basically killed our title hopes, didn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it did, Derek. With high hopes, great start to the game. I think we all knew how important it was. I think we all had a wee, I don't know, Derek, maybe slightly a wee bit of arrogance. I think we all thought that we were genuinely going to go and win that game because of how important it was, but unfortunately it didn't turn out like that. And like you said, put a huge dent on any title aspirations at that point, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we did start off very brightly, and Ramsey scored the goal on the 3rd minute and went 1-0 up, so perfect start. Couldn't ask for any more. And then we sat back, we done what we normally done, and then they started to come back into it, and they got 2 goals in the first half and really killed the game off from there, because the second half we came out, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great from what I remember, pretty lacklustre.
Very.
They kind of folded at that point round about the 60th minute, if I remember. And that was really the game all over and done with, and we're 6 points behind at that point, and we've never really recovered until fortunately last night.
Yes, no, it was, and the fact of some key injuries as well, which, happens in games, but I think the whole, that was Alfredo Morelos, that was him then out, from then on, and he was a huge miss for us, but it wasn't to be, Derek, and we were still living in hope, but I think they had the grit between their teeth after that victory, like we would have been also, and unfortunately it didn't pan out for us. No,
certainly not. Just a bit of sour note as well, some absolute idiot throwing a bottle into the box of Joe Hart just before the second half kicked off. I've no idea what that idiot was thinking about. It was going to injure our players potentially as well as any Celtic players. Just an absolute daft wee arsehole basically. And I think there was another issue with the Celtic dugout where one of their staff got injured as well, and I think somebody was arrested for that. Just absolutely pointless, but idiots be idiots sometimes. Yep. But another story. So then into the next game, it was Sunday the 10th of April. It was a 4-0 win away to St Mirren. Started well, early goal again with Kamal Roof scoring on the 2nd minute. Then we sat back, no urgency at all. We got a goal at the end of the half as well, with Roof scoring his double. We got an early-ish goal in the second half as well, with Roof completing his hat-trick on the 50th minute. And then Aribo scored on the 76th minute. So a pretty resounding win, never in danger of losing. Just we never had the urgency of the whole game that you would be expecting. But we'll take it every day of the week, Dave. The next game was the first game that I missed, which was Saturday the 23rd of April. It was a 3-1 win away against Motherwell in the Premiership again. Now, I missed that. I started to watch that in hospital, but given the fact that I had blood pressure issues, I thought, no, it's better not to watch that. So, Dave, you could probably tell me more about that game.
Derek, I'm honestly trying to remember back to exactly what happened in that match. Obviously we got the early goal, which was actually put down as an own goal, but then we were cruising. Balogun gets sent off, which was quite incredible that he got sent off, because I can remember back, baffling decision by the referee. Motherwell drew level and we thought, oh, here we go, 10 men, but to be fair, came out into the second half. Straight in the second half, Wright scored an absolute cracker of a goal. He'd been getting a lot of flack, Derek, to be fair, for that goal that he scored. I think silenced quite a lot of his critics. Really good goal, and then we wrapped up the game, with 10 men at the end by winning 3-1, which is quite an achievement, let's be honest, away from home against Motherwell, who, it's always a difficult game at Fir Park. So I think after Balogun got sent off, everybody was expecting us to fold, but to be fair to the team, great character, Derek, and got the victory. So that was when we look back on it, that was actually a really, really good performance by the team at that point.
Yeah, the sending off, I mean, I felt it was a bit harsh as well, but when you look at the letter of the law, yeah, he was maybe correct to get sent off. However, the problem was there was a Motherwell player about 2 minutes after that done the exact same challenge. I don't think he even got booked for it.
No.
So it's like the consistency in the game last night as well was a good case in point. Several challenges, hammer throw challenges, nothing really punished about it. So, but yeah, as you said, good character coming back from that one there. Next game it was Sunday the 1st of May. It was a 1-1 draw away against Celtic in the Premiership. So certainly if the title challenge was over in the game we lost against them, it was certainly over in this one, because there was no way coming back from that there. It relied on us winning every game, Celtic losing every game as well, and I think that was never ever going to happen. We were never going to pull 6 points back from the way we were. So.
I think the goal difference as well, Derek, I think we all knew, even if we did manage to pull it back, the goal difference was going to be massive because of the difference there. So I think we all knew what we were looking for was a performance away at Celtic Park, and I certainly think we got one, Derek, even if the scoreline didn't reflect that.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we had early pressure as well. and we played well, and then Celtic, in their typical fashion, managed to score in the 21st minute, but we kept plugging on. We played exceptionally well in the second half, I felt, and we did get a goal back on the 67th minute with Sakala scoring. So, I mean, Celtic apparently shaded the possession, but we certainly had all the shots, all the stats going for us that way. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net again, you know, even bringing it back to 3 points, it was still going to be an uphill struggle.
Yes, it was,
but it would give us that wee bit of hope,
and put a bit of pressure on them as well, but
yeah, it wasn't to be.
No.
The next game I never seen as well, because I was in London. It's Sunday the 8th of May. It was a 2-0 win at home against Dundee United in the Premiership. A good performance from what I hear. Yeah,
it was, Derek. One of these games, again, I think the pressure was off at that point because we knew that the league was gone. It let the team go out, and it was played more like a sort of training game. But, you know, all possession for Rangers completely dominated the play. Dundee United offered absolutely nothing to us, and you know, we got through. Great performance, you know, good victory also at home, you know, to let the fans see it. So again, pleased with that, considering the circumstances that the league was really gone. But good character by the team, especially with the other competitions that were happening in the background. It would have been easy to lose sight of these games, but thankfully they went on and won anyway. Yes, it was a penalty from Tavernier in the 55th minute, a Stonewaller from what I've heard, and Ahmad scored on the 78th minute as well. I mean, you were talking about possession, 73% possession. Incredible. For us. Dundee United never even had a shot on target as well. So, not the same Dundee United team that played us earlier on in the season, where they've taken a few points off us as well. So, that's the disappointing thing. Again, they really... We had nothing to play for ultimately. Our position was locked in. They still had something to play for. So surprising for Dundee United. I think the thing as well, a couple of players that played for Rangers in the game, you know, the game that we're talking about there, desperate to sort of prove that they should be getting a chance, you know, in the UEFA Cup, in the Europa League Final. The likes of Aaron Ramsey, the likes of Diallo, you know, I thought Ramsey had an excellent game as well. You know, his set up for the penalty was absolutely incredible. That sort of wee dinked ball into the box. He looked lively. Just a pity that his injuries have been so bad for us that he's not been able to play a bigger part. But he'll certainly be one that's looking to get into the team for the final, Derek. Yep. And the final game of the Premiership run was last night. It was a 4-1 win at home against Ross County for the last home game of the season. So, good win. It was really a training game all night. Wright scored in the 13th minute. Tavernier penalty on the 29th. Another Stonewaller. Sakala on the 82nd. And Ahmad on the 90th. So, it was a good run out all round. Some good play from a lot of players. A few interesting selections as well, with Lowry starting, who ran the show. He was excellent, Derek. He was by far the best player on the pitch. Everything went through him in an attacking sense. What I love about the boy, Derek, just watching him, is he just does not get flustered, and his ability to pick out the impossible forward pass is unbelievable. This lad is going to be a star for us if Rangers do the right thing by him. Not too much pressure to start off that we're doing. He's going to be an absolute top star, and he's signed a new contract as well, Derek, which is excellent because there was a lot of interest from down south with the boy. Top player, and great from. I don't think there's been a time that he's played for Rangers in the first team that he hasn't looked a standout for us, Derek. He just the ability that he's got, absolute fantastic player and great for the future. Yep, absolutely. And what was interesting as well is we were trying different things as well. Just the out of the ordinary passes. We were, not playing the basic passes, and maybe that was because the pressure was off. Yes. We knew the league was gone. So, it was good to see, and I loved to see that type of play. Just trying stuff. Don't get pigeonholed in the same boxes we've been getting pigeonholed in the whole season. And maybe I know hindsight, Derek, but maybe Lowry should have been given a chance in some of the other games that we were struggling, to get the winner, games that were really struggling. He was maybe the guy that we were needing just in front of the midfield, just to, pick apart the opposition defences. But again, I says it's done now, and I'm sure he'll be playing a much bigger part in the future, definitely.
Absolutely. So, Dave, I mean, we've got one Premiership game to go. Celtic clinched the title last night with a 1-1 draw away against Dundee United. I mean, more teams have won titles at Dundee United's ground than they have, to be honest. So.
I know, Derek. It's disappointing. We can't turn around and say it's not disappointing, but the fact that we've got this hugely historic game for the fans in the club coming up, it has softened the blow majorly for us, because I think every single Rangers fan in the world, if you were to say to them, Celtic are going to win the title, but we're going to be in the final of the Europa League with let's be honest, we've got as good a chance to win it as, Eintracht Frankfurt have. It's...
Spoilers.
To have that opportunity, we would have grabbed it with both hands. And I don't care what anybody says, to be in this position, we would have grabbed it. So again, hats off to Celtic. They have been the consistent team ever since, the start of the season. They've went on, this huge run of winning all their games. We have blown leads time and time again. That's been down to us, and of course the big games against Celtic that we should have won. Then we've been unable to. I think we've lost the same amount of games as what they have. Mm-hmm. But it's been down to these stupid draws that we've had and losing goals in the last minute. Games against Ross County, surrendering two goals to Motherwell at home. It's been games like that ultimately have lost us the league title. But, as I'm sure you're about to get into with the other games, Derek, in my opinion, we have got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, technically, yes. I mean, that's what's so frustrating about it, is it's our own downfall. As you said, the Ross County, the Motherwell, the Hearts, dropping silly points like that in from leading positions is criminal.
Yep.
We could be actually 2-3 points clear just now, going into the last game.
Yep.
That is what's criminal about it. Celtic, as you said, give them credit for their consistency, but it's us who's chucked this away by silly last minute goals.
Yep.
I mean, that Ross County game, when the 3 each game, that was the big kicker for me. That's when I knew we were never winning this league. And dare I say it, Dave, because he's been an absolute immense servant, he's still got a job to do. Alan McGregor shipped a hell of a lot of goals this year, and yes, he's saved a hell of a lot as well, but that's what you pay a keeper to do. The amount of goals he's shipped this year is criminal, and I don't want to blame him. It's a collective, obviously.
It is, yeah.
And it's the same with the whole Goldson thing last night, with him looking, to the stand afterwards and clapping. He was the last one off the park. He looks as if he's going to go because he's not signing another contract. I think people have got to realise with things like that is, yes, McGregor and Goldson there, right, as a case in point, fantastic servants, what they've done. They've been immense at some points, but when this season you've been part of a defence that's ultimately, the defence is the reason why it's cost us the league, it's a case of saying, thanks for your service, we need changes now.
I think as well, Derek, if you look at the defence this season, and a guy who I'm going to heap so much praise on as well, Calvin Bassey. Calvin Bassey's a left back who has been put in at centre half for nearly the whole of this half of the season. He's been immense, but this is a guy who's had to come in, and I'm not going to put as much flack on Goldson. You're playing with so many different defensive partners. He's had Hilander, he's had Balogun, he's had Leon King for a few games, he's had Bassey there as well. It will be difficult. I like Goldson. I think he's, all defenders throughout watching Rangers. I can remember guys like Terry Butcher, who was, regarded at one point as one of the best defenders in Europe when he was playing for Rangers, having loads of shocking games. A guy with the international experience that he had. Same with guys like Lorenzo Amoruso, even Richard Gough, guys, defensive blunders. These things happen, but I think over the piece, Goldson's been an absolutely fantastic player for us. So I'm not going to put too much on him. The same with Alan McGregor, Derek. he's getting older, we keep saying that, but in my opinion, still by far the best option that we've got. And I do like McLaughlin, I wouldn't have any hesitations putting McLaughlin in, but I think for the big games I would always go with McGregor. But there has been a lot. The last season, we seem to have had a sort of more stable defensive back four. This year there's been a lot of changes. Barisic coming in and out, like I said, for Bassey going to centre half, left back. I don't know what's Bassey's best position. I would have said a month ago he's by far he's a better left back, but he's been absolutely immense in the big games at centre half as well. So I honestly don't know. I think the lad is absolutely fantastic, but as I say, well, I'm waffling on, Derek. My fault. I know we're wanting to try and stop all this, but I like to talk about Rangers and players. And
yes, yeah. I mean that's why I don't want to criticise players in the team this year, because of they're on the brink of becoming legends.
Yes,
and every single one of their names will be up in that Hall of Fame board if they pull out the incredible. So I don't want to criticise them. That's what's the frustrating thing about this team. The ability is there. It's the fact that they've on occasion slipped up, they've let their concentration go, and it's really what's cost us the league. But as you said, bigger fish to fry.
Yes.
Before we get into that run though, we'll go into the game on Sunday the 17th of April. It was a Scottish Cup semi-final where we won 2-1 in extra time against Celtic. There's no wonder I went into hospital no long after that game, was it? However, the game itself, the first half, a bit of a headless chicken game. Both teams running about, really lacked a bit of quality. That said, we probably shaded it, having a wee bit more possession, creating more of the chances. There were half chances as that, apart from really one of them. The passing had been suspect at times, dallying about in defence at times, although Celtic had been quick on us. Neither keeper had anything of consequence to deal with in the first half. Best chance came for us for either team on the 40th minute, with Lundstrom having a stunning curling shot from 25 yards, cannoned back off the left upright. Not long beforehand, he had a superb challenge on Callum McGregor, where he cleanly won the ball and put McGregor up on his arse. That was like a challenge of epic proportions. And do you know something? Give McGregor all credit for that as well, because if he could have just rolled about there acting out, he just got straight up and went straight back looking for the ball. So credit for him there, but it was an epic challenge.
Yep, definitely.
So really a little bit more dig and a little bit more clinical finishing might have got us somewhere in the second half. However, in typical fashion, on the 64th minute, Celtic went 1-0 up with Taylor scoring. So we kind of felt at that point, where's the goal going to come from? But up steps Scott Arfield on the 78th minute and blast it into the net. Brilliant.
Great goal, Derek, and a great time. And something as well that I think needs to be said, praise for our manager, who, it took him a wee while, but his ability to be able to change a game when it's not going well for us, I think is fantastic. It's what we have been missing, certainly in big games. He's proved it time and time again. We've looked to the bench and thought, we've not got a lot of creativity there, but just his ability to maybe change one player from one side to the other, and in this case it was Sakala getting moved onto the opposite wing, bring it Scott Arfield in there slightly further forward. We all know what Arfield can do. Wee subtle changes like that to give us another chance, as you say. Great goal for Arfield, delighted for him as well. We saw how much it meant to him to score that goal for equaliser. And after that, Derek, there was only going to be one winner. That there really was, because we were so on top at that point that we knew we were going to get the winner. I had a great feeling at that point. Yeah,
I mean, we struggled to create much after that. We were the completely dominant team, for the rest of the 90 minutes. Then we went into the extra time. Again, completely dominant team for the first, maybe half of the first half. Celtic made a couple of changes, then they started to come on top. And then into extra time on the 114th minute. It's been put down as an OG, but Sakala might have scored it as well. We scored and made it 2-1, and that's how the game ended up. Just absolutely brilliant. Delighted to beat them in the semi-final. Stop them getting the treble that they were after as well. And, us into the final against Hearts.
Great, and a fantastic occasion as well, Derek, for all the fans to go. We've not been in a Scottish Cup final for quite a number of years now. It's going to be a huge occasion. As you say, we're playing Hearts. We've got a great record against Hearts. So here's hoping that continues. You put a bit of silverware in the trophy cabinet. But again, compared to what we're about to be playing before that, we'd love to win it. But as I'm sure you're going to get into, we have quite a prize to play for, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. So there was a wee bit of fallout from that game as well, just with the usual Celtic fans claiming, "Oh, the referee cheated us," blah blah. What a load of bullshit! And to give them credits, Super Scoreboard and Hugh Keevins completely rubbished all their claims, about red cards and all that kind of shit.
That's to be expected though, because you know how Hugh Keevins is such an avid blue nose, Derek. So.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I thought Madden actually had a fairly good game. He let heavy challenges go for both teams, and I think we've got ourselves kind of indoctored into this because the referees are so inconsistent, and you get fouls for the least wee niggly thing these days that everything's got to be a foul. I prefer my referees to let bad challenges go for both teams. It's going back to the way it should be, but that's the problem. Referees, you give them automation to allow them to do what they want in terms of that.
So inconsistent, Derek. It's unbelievable.
There was obviously issues with that absolute no-mark Gianni Capaldi as well, where they had to basically delete his Twitter after some remarks, so that was quite funny as well, but that was another story for another day as well. So, getting into the proper meat and two veg of this, the European run, Dave. It's been immense. It's been a few lows, but not too many, because we've always came back in the second leg and absolutely dominated. So, Dave, we've got to start off with Thursday the 7th of April. It was a 1-0 loss away to Braga in the quarter-final, the first leg. So, Dave, it really wasn't a great performance at all, was it?
No, and I think, Derek, to be honest with you, that at that point gave me a wee bit of hope, because I knew that we would play much better in the next game, because, as you say, we offered very, very little in that game. I'll let you briefly get into it. There's no that much to talk about because we didn't hardly create anything in the whole match, but it gave me a bit of hope for the second game, because I knew that Braga probably were at their best, and for that score for us not to turn up that night was still going to give us hope for the second leg.
Yeah, really the first half a bit of a nothing game for the first 24 minutes. That said, we were holding our own. We were not retaining possession well enough though, but when we did, we had some nice play going forward before we lost it. McGregor had absolutely nothing to do, and arguably we had the best chance up until that point. Then really from 24 minutes onwards, Braga upped their game and they were largely, in control, and we went to pieces the rest of the half, and they got their goal of the game on the 40th minute with a defensive shambles. Braga on the right, a duffed initial cross, hits off our defender, our other defender sticks out a leg on the turn and doesn't get to it, falls to the Braga attacker just into the box and has a shot past the diver McGregor. Just a calamity in defence again.
Yeah, it was, Derek, in a bad time for them to score as well. But again, a wee bit of hope for us going into the second half, because we knew we'd done very little, that surely we could fashion some sort of chance as we had done previously in European games.
Yeah. Second half though, a dire performance. On the plus side, we kept the game at 1-0. That was the only kind of saving grace you could take from the performance. First 10 of the second half we were completely pegged back. We were just passing side to side back. They were chasing everything, granted. We just looked absolutely amateur, and that was really how it was for most of the half, to be honest. As I said, we kept it at 1-0, and that was always a good thing.
Yes, definitely.
Yep. However, it set it up really nicely for the second leg, which was on Thursday the 14th of April, and we won 3-1 after extra time. So we went through 3-2 on aggregate. So Dave, all I've put here in the first half is, wow. What a half, and in typical fashion, I missed the first 9 minutes due to no streams. Absolutely mind-blowing stuff from the team. The passing, the pressing, the touches, the crossing have all been sublime. We left Braga in no doubt that they were facing an uphill struggle.
Yes. First of all, Derek, in that game, the noise from the home fans, absolutely incredible. Over the past few seasons, we've been excellent in Europe, but Ibrox really is a fortress now, Derek. For so long in Europe, and I'm going back through some disastrous performances, Ibrox hasn't been anything like it has been over the past few seasons, and none more than this season. It really has. You hate that old saying of the 12th man being the crowd. Well, I think Ibrox has maybe been the 13th or 14th man. Let's be honest. The supporters have done the team proud at home. They really have. The noise that's been generated, the buzz, it's just been absolutely sensational.
Yep. So, we needed an early goal, and we certainly got one, because Tavernier scored on the 2nd minute. Dave, I've still not even seen it back.
It was an excellent goal, Derek. He had absolutely no right scoring from that angle, but as we've seen for Tav so many times, getting forward, getting into the back post, that is his area. And it wasn't a simple tap in, Derek. The position, the tight angle that he had, the way that his body was when the ball came to him, he had no right to be able to swivel and shoot like that with such accuracy. An absolutely tremendous goal, and a fantastic time to get the goal on as well.
Yep. Roof had the ball in the back of the net to make it 2-0 in the 5th minute, or so we thought. Went to a VAR check, and it was ruled out as the ball hit the arm of Barisic just before it crossed. Very, very harsh, I felt.
Really harsh,
you know, where's he meant to put his arm? Because his arm was actually down by his side at that point.
It wasn't in an unnatural position, Derek, but again, the good and the bad of VAR.
Yep. I picked it up after that, so that's what I meant about missing the first 9 minutes as well. I missed bloody everything there. I picked it up after that. We were absolutely relentless. The crossing caused an absolute mayhem. The passing was sublime. We didn't give Braga a sniff. The only disappointing thing is we were not getting anything else on target. We thought we had restored the 2-0 advantage on the 32nd minute, where it was a corner from the right. It was flicked into the back post by the head of Aribo, and Roof, with an open goal, flicks it onto the bar and cleared it for another corner. Really unlucky that there. We did actually go 2-0 on the 44th minute, however, when those immortal words were said: penalty to Rangers.
Yes.
Clear-cut penalty as well, if I can remember right. Up steps your man at Tavernier just before half-time to score the penalty on the 44th minute. So absolutely delighted with that, Dave.
Yeah, tremendous, Derek. That was us back in front. We had control of the tie again, which is exactly what we were looking for. A tremendous performance in the first half, like you said, and we were hoping to capitalise in the second half to put the tie beyond doubt.
Yep. So into the second half, certainly still all to play for. We needed to keep it tight, and I think we did for pretty much most of the game, didn't we? We were certainly the better team, and we did actually score a goal on the 70th minute. However, it was ruled out by VAR. Roof had the ball in the back of the net, and it was ruled offside. The ball was knocked up to Aribo, a lovely flick to Roof, who runs with the ball, lobs the keeper and into the back of the net. Straight away, VAR checked and ruled offside. Unfortunately, it was the correct decision on that case. However, in typical fashion, we made a couple of substitutions on the 80th minute. Ramsey and Jack off, Wright and Kamara on. Braga's first corner of the game on the 82nd minute, and they bloody well score from it. It was a corner in from the right, a free header into the back of the net. Goldson's man, McGregor, sticking to his line as well. Absolutely horrendous defending. It
was, Derek. Very poor, and at that stage, it gave Braga a lifeline. Most teams, I think, would possibly have became stronger and possibly have went on to try and nick it at that point. But again, going back to the crowd, Derek, going back to the stadium, the noise, I don't think the punters inside Ibrox were going to allow that to happen. And certainly, credit where credit's due again, they really did raise the roof to give the team that wee sort of kick up the arse that they were maybe needing, because we certainly deserve to be going through at that stage, Derek.
Yes. Funny you said those words, raise the roof, because it was Roof who scored in extra time to make it 3-1 on the 101st minute. It was a lovely move down the right. Kamara at the touchline cuts it back, a reverse ball to Aribo, who cuts it back into the middle of the net for the tap-in. So absolutely brilliant there. In complete control at that point. Meant to say earlier, the actual penalty in the first half where Tavernier scored, it was a red card to the defender as well, because he basically never attempted to go for the ball. It was a clear take out of the man. Madness from the player there. If it wasn't any more madness there, however, a couple of minutes later, on the 105th minute, just before the second half of extra time, there was a red card for Medeiros, because he fouled Balogun, he got booked for it, and he was right in the face of the referee and he was given a second yellow card. Absolute madness. I mean, all their team had to do is score another goal and it was going into penalties, or they were certainly back in it as well. He just completely fucked it for the team there to put them down to 9 men. So craziness there from the Braga player, but absolutely delighted for us.
Definitely, Derek. Yep, absolutely fantastic. And as you say, we were able to see out the rest of the match.
Yes.
After that, I think with an air of realisation, I think, about the players. Braga knew that they were out because of that as well. So as you're about to get into, we were able to see the game out after that.
Yeah, the one last thing I want to talk about is Scott Van Vossen. Sorry, Scott Arfield. Dave, I cannot believe he missed this. It was a shocking miss.
It was a shocking miss, Derek. But as we spoke about a short time ago, he made up for it in the semi-final by scoring against Celtic. It really was a glaring miss at that point, wasn't it? Thankfully, it wasn't anything that was going to determine the game. But he will look back on that and he'll be saying to himself, "How the hell did I miss that one?"
He out Van Vossen. Yes, but absolutely delighted with that result. Incredible. Into the semi-final, and at this point you're thinking quarter-finals was amazing. Semi-finals, is this really going to happen here?
Derek, it's one of these things that you're saying we can't look too far forward. We were going to be playing against another German giant, a team that dwarfs us financially. We knew it was going to be a tough one. And we basically just had to go out. I think the team just to give their all and try and get through to the final. As you're about to get into the first leg, wasn't too bad, and then obviously we all know what happened in the second game. But I'll let you get into it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have any notes for this here, but I felt we completely held our own in the game.
Yep.
Certainly Leipzig were the better team, 71% possession. They had 10 shots, we had 7. They had 4 on target, we only had 1. But I felt we held our own.
Definitely.
The game plan was to stifle them, and bearing in mind we didn't have a recognised striker. Morelos was out, Roof was out as well. We were playing with Wright and Kent up front effectively, so not really a recognised striker there. And the game plan was always a case of trying to stifle them, do exactly what we done against Braga to an extent, but this time it was planned to do that, and we'd done it perfectly up until the 85th minute when another defensive blunder just allowed them to walk through and score the goal. So I was really disappointing to let that goal in the late stages of the game. However, like we found out against Braga, it wasn't all that doom and gloom.
No.
Certainly we'll take that every day of the week, and I think a lot of people were saying that before the game. Had we said we would get out of Leipzig with a 1-0 loss, everybody would have been biting your hand off for that, especially considering, as you said, there's a team worth 300-400 million.
Yes.
We're worth 13 million.
Exactly.
So absolutely delighted with that. That was on Thursday the 28th of April, and that was the first leg. However, into the next leg, all to play for. Thursday the 5th of May, we ended up winning 3-1 on the night, 3-2 on aggregate in the second leg of the semi-final, and that got us into the final. Dave, what can you say?
Just incredible, Derek, incredible. Team were tremendous from start to finish in the game. Even in the period that you'll get into that Leipzig scored, I thought we were excellent throughout the whole match. The crowd again, absolutely incredible, and it's just that the achievement of us, of winning that game against RB Leipzig. There's nobody out there who would have fancied Rangers to win this game, especially being 1 down. But for us to win in 90 minutes, enough to take us through to the final, and not be clinging on, desperately to a 1-0 or, as we've done time and time again before in years gone past, to actually go out there and dominate the game and deserve to win that is just, it shows you just how well we've done in Europe and how much an achievement that is. It was just fantastic.
I mean, it's a belief in the team. They seem to have this, not arrogance, but this swagger, this confidence about them going into games in Europe. And, 2008 was amazing. Let's be honest, nobody ever thought, given the way Europe's set up now, nobody ever thought we would be in a European final. And 2008, just to get there, was incredible. It was.
Could you imagine your blood pressure 2008, Derek, compared to now?
Exactly. I mean, 2008 was backs to the wall.
It was.
It was very tactical. It was defensive. You know, if you want to call it anti-football, then fine, call it anti-football. But we were a team of effectively largely Scottish players.
Yes.
Playing up against bigger teams,
Yep.
more expensive, more experienced European quality sides. Whereas this time, we've probably came up against much harder opposition,
Yep.
teams that are worth a hell of a lot more than they were then, and we've dominated games.
Completely, yes.
Dominated
And
games.
deserved to win games, Derek. Not nicked a goal here and there. Absolutely dominated them with shots, with possession, with, everything. It is completely different. You hit the nail right in the head there. It was... The run to the final in 2008 was completely backs to the wall stuff. It really was. The semi-final, 2-0 draws and winning on penalties.
That's never going to be a classic match, is it?
No, defending for our lives, playing, 4 very defensive players at the back, not any attacking fullbacks, 2 defensive midfielders sitting in front of them, 1 striker and 1 outlet, and basically just trying to out-muscle the other teams. This is completely different, Derek. We have got goals all over the field at this moment in time. And, Derek, we've got to say it, we've given the man stick for so many years. I told Craig McCrimmon that we would bring this up. How good has Tav been? This second part of the season, he's been absolutely sensational. Sensational. I mean, he's been great all season. These European runs that we've had, Tav has stepped up so much. He's been absolutely. He's been our talisman. I would have said Morelos was our talisman, but James Tavernier definitely is. James Tavernier is our star player. I don't care what anyone says. He's the one that we're looking to, and he has grown into that captain's thing. I'm taking back everything I've said about him completely.
Dave, I think it's you that needs a stint in Monklands after that. You're feeling all right.
He's been absolutely sensational, Derek. He's led us on. He's been top goal scorer in the Europa League for right back.
That's
Derek.
mental,
It's
isn't it?
absolutely incredible. But his ability to be able to sniff out that chance. Anytime we've got a break down the left, Tav's beating the striker to get into the back post. I mean, you just don't see that anywhere. He's been sensational. He's, and I still believe he's still got a huge part to play in this Touchwood. It's I don't want to jinx us. He's been outstanding. So has the likes, John Lundstrom and as well, who's ever since the defeat to Celtic when he came on in the second half. We thought he was out in his ear, Derek, let's be honest. Van Bronckhorst brought him in for the second half. He came on against Celtic, even though we're getting beat 3-0. He was outstanding, and he's been tremendous ever since. Again, I spoke about Calvin Bassey as well. He's been brilliant. It's been a great... Without Alfredo Morelos in the team, Derek, we would never have thought we would have got this far. We'd never have thought we would have scored the amount of goals to get us to a final. And to be fair to Giovanni, his ability to be able to change a game, like I said, for us to score vital goals has been excellent as well. And here we are. We would never have dreamt a million years we would have got to the final this season. And here we are, Derek. It is consuming us all, isn't it? It's completely consumed me. It's all I'm thinking about, and I'm sure every Rangers fan out there as well. The sense of achievement this far is incredible, and we still have a great opportunity, Derek, as you say, for this team to become legends.
Just covering the game briefly, I mean, we were immense the whole game, bar that 20-minute period where Leipzig started to come back. You're talking about Tavernier. He scored the opening goal in the 18th minute where he just snuck up the right side into the back post.
As he does so often, Derek.
It's just phenomenal. It was a great cross, great finish. Kamara scored in the 24th minute as well with an utter peach of a goal. It was so cool, it was so calm. He just casually rolled the ball in a curve right into the far post.
The accuracy was unbelievable.
Incredible. Aribo were nearly stringing him up after Leipzig scored because he had a great chance to volley it into the back of the net to make it 3-0. You never know how games would pan out if he had scored that, so you don't know. But, and then obviously Leipzig came back into it in the second half for about 20 minutes. You've seen it coming because they made a couple of changes. We were on the back foot for a good 20-minute spell. They scored in the 70th minute. And then we regained our composure. We made a couple of changes, I think, and then Lundstrom scores the winner on the winner on the aggregate anyway on the 80th minute. It just had to fall for him. It was a great finish. It all came for a set piece as well. Absolutely incredible. Dave, you mentioned him. I've always said, and if anybody doubts me, you can go back and listen to the podcast, but I've always said he wasn't as bad as people were making out. I felt he was scapegoated. He got a massive reputation that one season for Sheffield United, and he was a mainstay in my fantasy football team for a reason, because he was immense. This is what we're seeing from him now. He's been absolutely incredible this season, the second half of the season anyway.
If ever there's been a turnaround in a player, it's been that. And as I say, I pinpointed it to that second half against Celtic when he came on at half time. We were getting hammered at half time 3-0, and he basically came on the second half at Parkhead and ran the show. Now I know that Celtic were winning 3-0 at the time, but he ran the show, and he's been in the team ever since then, Derek, and quite rightly so, and got better and better and better. He just seems so assured, doesn't he? And he's a colossus of a guy. This is the type of guy that you want. And I mean, any wee midfielders in the opposition team, your wee fancy, ball playing midfielder, they see John Lundstrom, racing towards you, 30 mile an hour or whatever, the size of him. There's only ever going to be one winning a tackle. But he's not just a hard man, Derek. He's not. He's a fantastic player in his ability to remain calm on the ball. He rarely wastes any passes that he puts on, and of course has scored some vital goals for us as well. No more so than the goal in Dortmund, and then of course that one as well. So, a mainstay in the team. He definitely has to play in the final 100%, and fair play to him for getting over his troubles, Derek, and coming back into the team. I
mean, what typifies and highlights his attitude is when Bassey had fouled somebody in the Old Firm game and the Celtic player was on the deck, Bassey went over to make sure it was fine, and you seen Lundstrom saying, "You fucking get your arse back in your position, don't do that."
And he shat himself and thought, "Oh my God, I better go." And he moved straight away. No, he's the type of guy that you need in the middle of the park, Derek. His influence, his attitude has been, fantastic. It's there's loads of players that we can talk about. We spoke about Tav and we spoke about him. I think those are the two main players I think that really have stepped up for us, especially in Europe.
I mean, that, to round off the game, just everybody who was at the game saying that's the most amazing Ibrox they've ever been to. The noise that everybody was singing. I mean, obviously, minute silence for Jimmy Bell. There was applause as well as a wee tribute to him before the game. The stadium DJ turned all the music off 20 minutes before the game. And everybody was just singing. The noise constantly. You've had the Leipzig management and players come out and say that was absolutely amazing atmosphere. Everything. There's been a video of somebody taken on the night of full-time whistle, and it must have been taken for a mile and a half away from the stadium, and you could hear the roar and the singing so clearly. It was that loud. Absolutely unbelievable. And see that the 5-minute video that BT had at the end of the game where Rory Hamilton, what an incredible speech he gave there. I've watched that maybe about 20-30 times. It gives me goosebumps every time. Absolutely amazing, Dave. And I mean, I was in the pub watching it. I wasn't drinking because I was driving that night, and I was just standing there in absolute disbelief. I was welling up, and then it just euphoria overcame me. It was just so lightheaded, and my blood pressure had then settled back down again, and it was amazing, Dave.
Derek, I think you could see also the fans, when we're talking about Jimmy Bell there, what it meant to the players for him as well. Every one of them, the goals they scored, you could see what it meant to them. They're kissing the black armbands. They knew that this victory was for him. It really was. It shows you how much that he played a huge part in the lives of all these players. And just great. As you say, the scenes at the end, quite sensational. And again, I've got to take my hats off to the lucky supporters that were in the stadium that night. Everybody played their part there, Derek. What an occasion, what a result, and what an event we've got to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I mean, touch on one thing, Dave, about the team, and then we'll move on here. But ever since Morelos has went out the team, we've always been panicking. And yes, we've had Roof in there for a few games as well. However, I've kind of felt that last season when Morelos was not doing his usual role, being a out and out goal scorer, he wasn't scoring as many, but the whole team were scoring a lot more. Where we struggled this season when we weren't scoring goals is he's reverted back to his usual role as out and out goal scorer. He's not been getting as many goals as he should, and the rest of the team haven't been doing it because they're playing away to service Morelos. Now that he's not in the team, we've changed the system about, and we're scoring more freely.
How dare you, Derek? How dare you say that about Alfredo?
But I just think sometimes that last season was amazing. We scored a hell of a lot of goals from all over the park because Morelos had dropped back. He was being more of a creator rather than an out-and-out goal scorer. This season we've relied on him far too much, and when he doesn't score, nobody else was really scoring because the system was set up for Morelos. And then when Morelos wasn't playing, we never changed the system. We just played that, we played a one up front.
I think even although, again, I have given this man a lot of stick, and I'm still not 100%.
Dave,
you know I'm going to talk
on.
about. I'm still not 100% convinced by him, even although I'm desperate for him to be fit for the final, Derek. Morelos had Roof alongside him nearly the whole of last season, and to be fair to Roof, last season he scored a lot of goals that Morelos didn't take. Roof has been out injured a lot this season. He's missed a huge amount of games for us when Alfredo was playing, so I think maybe Alfredo knew this season that he was the only one that was going to be scoring any goals that were coming in there, so I'm not going to put on as much there, but I do understand what you're saying now. With the lack of Morelos being in the team because of his injury, the rest of the team are maybe saying to themselves, right, we need to create different opportunities to score, and we have been doing it, thankfully. But I'm going to retract slightly and say I really hope that Roof does play because we do need as many goal threats as possible for this final. And although Sakala's been doing great, he's very hit or miss, Derek. Whereas I think that Roof is the more accomplished striker out of the two of them. So, but if I had my choice, obviously I would have Alfredo 100% fit playing, but it's not going to happen.
So Dave, the final on the 18th of May, 6 days away. It's going to be a momentous occasion.
Oh.
I think we go into this game, we've got to be respectful of Frankfurt for the fact that they've put out West Ham, put out Barcelona.
Yep.
They're sitting, I think 8th or 9th in the league just now. So certainly league-wise, they are, if you take it on that form, they are the worst of the German teams that we've played this year. We can't take that as gospel, though. They are going to be dangerous. We've got to give them respect.
Yeah.
But they've got to respect us as well. We've put out some scalps as well. We go into this game full of confidence. Given, everything that's happened, maybe we've sacrificed the league partly for this, given our form. I don't know, but I'm full of confidence that if we play the way we've been playing, granted it's a one-off game, we can go out and win this.
Derek, they're actually sitting 12th in the league at the moment, right? They have got 41 points from 33 games and they've got a -4 goal difference. I hope the opposite from you. I hope that Eintracht Frankfurt do take us for granted and think that because we're a Scottish team, regardless the size of the club, that they're going to be able to just turn up and roll us over. Because if that is the case, then I think that we will win the game. If that is the case, if they come out thinking they're just going to have to turn up, that is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for that wee bit of arrogance that they think because that we are playing in Scotland, as the vast majority of Europe think that it's going to be an easy game for them, and we come out and absolutely shock them, because we do have the ability to do it, Derek. It's going to be basically who turns up on the day, isn't it? But let's be honest, we have got an incredible chance to win a major European trophy here, Derek. So as long as the players have got that instilled into their minds and they go out as professionally as possible, you know, bring it on, Derek. Yep. Bring it on.
Now, Dave, you're going to be in Scotland for it, but I am going to be abroad for it, so I will be watching that in Tenerife, probably Taylor's. I'll be watching that one there, so, you know, I'll be the one with the Rangers top on.
Derek, I am, and I'm glad that you've brought this up, because the only sour point for me, or slightly sour point, has been lack of communication from the club for us poor fans that can't travel to Seville. Now, I'm sure you're going to get into the planes, trains and automobiles side of the tens and tens of thousands of fans making that incredible trip to Seville, so much so that we have now taken over Seville from the ones across the city, which is just absolutely beautiful. I feel that, you know, because a lot of situations in Scotland, unfortunately, a lot of people like myself can't travel to Seville, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of options at this present moment, Derek, for us to perhaps meet as a fan base to watch the game. I've been in contact with the club slightly, who didn't give me a great response to my question about it, thankfully. I mean, I put it out on Twitter, not as a malicious tweet, Derek, I've got to say that, but just disappointed that the response I got was no great, not worded very well. But I since have had another message from the fans liaison officer, basically saying that they're hoping to have more clarification. And due to the huge demand for fans going to Seville, it's been difficult to get through it all. So we just have to wait and see what happens here, Derek. I hope there's something for the fans here. But going for the fans going to Seville, this is a monumentous occasion for them. I'm delighted for everybody that's got tickets. There's been a hell of a lot of people that have been bitterly disappointed because they've just been under the MyJers points and not been able to get tickets. Absolutely devastated. But the tens of thousands of people that are going to be travelling there, some of the stories that we've heard, some of the routes that people are taking are incredible. I mean, there's some people going to 3 different continents, Derek, just to get to Seville is incredible. I'm sure everybody has got their stories on how they got there. I just want everybody to go and have an absolute ball of a time. Enjoy the moment, treat it like a party atmosphere from start to finish, and I'm jealous that I'm not getting to go, Derek.
Yeah, and enjoy the win, hopefully.
Yes.
I mean, I think there's the tweet you put out, as you said, wasn't malicious.
No, it wasn't meant to be at all.
A lot of people, I think, have taken this as a bit of bait to beat the board with, to be honest, a stick to beat the board with. As you said, the communication needs to be a wee bit better.
Yes.
All they had to do is say, look, we're looking into options, we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
That's all it would have taken, Derek.
But I think people are maybe not understanding that this really is largely out of the club's control. So take, you know, opening up Ibrox for a beanbag. You know, you need to ultimately liaise with the police and Glasgow City Council with this. If one of them says no, it's not happening, well, the Rangers can't do anything. You know, try to get something like Bella Houston Park or a fan zone type thing there. Well, you know, again, same police and Glasgow City Council. And you know, the Glasgow City Council are our friends, aren't they? Not. It's the same with out in Seville. People are going mad at the club, you know, for not being able to say, oh, right, we need to be proactive and go and make sure that there's, you know, make them realise. I'm pretty sure the authorities do realise there's going to be hundreds of thousands of fans travelling there. But again, if it's a case of the police authorities, now, you know, Spanish authority, you know, the Spanish police are rather heavy-handed and don't like large gatherings of football crowds. So are they going to really want this to happen? Probably not. But yes, they need to mitigate the fact that people will travel regardless.
It's a reality. It is going to happen.
Yeah, it is. So you can't have a go at the club for that. I think people, yes, everybody wants to go, everybody wants to have fun and go there, but I think there needs to be a wee bit of reality set in as well, that most of these things are out of the club's control. And just because the club, granted, they should be telling us that they're speaking to people, but just because they aren't saying that doesn't mean they're not speaking to the relevant authorities to make them aware this is going to happen regardless if you give permission or not. So
communication is key here,
yes,
Derek.
Exactly.
Right? It is key. And a simple one line tweet to the supporters to say, We realise there's a massive demand for fans to be able to watch the game somewhere in Scotland, and as a large event. We are working on it. We will, there'll be an update soon. Something simple like that would let everybody know, they do know that there's a demand here for it, and they are going to try and do something. And then if it didn't work out, we would at least know that they did, but there has been nothing from the club at all to say, we are desperate for this to happen. There's been absolutely nothing. So I think that's been the disappointing part. Fingers crossed something does get sorted out to give us poor souls here that can't get to Seville to watch it, because I don't fancy going to a pub to watch it, Derek, because there will be arseholes there cheering on it, Eintracht Frankfurt. I don't want that. I want to be in amongst my own supporters watching the game on a big scale. That's what I want. We'll just have to wait and see. Fingers crossed they get something sorted. And likewise for the people in Seville, there's a lot of talk that they are opening up the stadium that Celtic were in for other Rangers fans to go and watch it. That's a fantastic idea. It keeps everybody all in the one area. Huge stadium. It gets it there. The atmosphere in there would be absolutely fantastic as well. Fingers crossed that all gets sorted as well, Derek. I'd like to think that they have learned from mistakes in the past when it comes to fan zones and stuff, that there will be something sorted here. I do realise that the club are under huge pressure. The fans liaison officer under huge pressure. I totally get that. I just think the communication part, Derek, has been pretty woeful, to be perfectly honest with you.
Nothing new there with Rangers, is it? However, one thing you've got to say, I mean, what I want to finish off with is the fallout from us getting to the final. It's been hilarious, Dave. It deserves a whole pod on Kerryfield alone, because
it does. Because
Celtic fans have been falling over themselves trying to basically downput what our achievements are this season. Oh, it's just a B trophy anyway. You've actually played nobody. It's been the worst Dortmund team in years. Dave, they can say that all they want. The people who know that's utter bullshit. I mean, Celtic, I don't understand. I mean, even Postecoglou, I mean, dare I say it, Dave, I think he's actually a decent guy. He's just got in with the wrong crowd. But even he said it's a fantastic achievement. So it's like, it's incredible the way that Celtic fans are trying to downplay what we've actually done.
Of course they are, Derek. It's to be expected. I'm trying not to get drawn into this whole one-upsmanship against them. I want this to be our glory moments. More, Derek, it's like I say, it's consuming me at the moment. It's all I'm thinking about, and that's in the reality of things. It's incredible, and every other Rangers fan out there will be the same. We're less than a week away, and all we can think about is this game coming up, where we're going to watch it, how we're going to get to watch it. Then when the actual game comes itself, it'll be a bit of a surreal moment. The thing for me, Derek, that has really got me, and I say I'm trying not to get drawn into anything to do with them, but Seville is now ours.
Yeah.
Seville is now property of Rangers football, regardless what happens. Seville was their thing, right? Seville was the Celtic fans' thing. They made a fucking musical and stage show about it. They've had to change the name. They've had to change the name of one of their suites at Parkhead, which is incredible. We have taken that from them. They can no longer associate themselves with Seville. It is hilarious.
Do you know what I find even more hilarious? I mean, they've got they had the Seville suite, they had the Seville wall for their brick wall. They're celebrating a game that they lost. Is that? Can you get any more tin pot than that? But,
oh my God!
But as you said, it is now ours. So
it is. We now own Seville, and that again for them is a huge slap in the face, because you speak to some Celtic supporters, they all have their stories about Seville. They can't talk about it anymore.
No. And can you imagine if we win this?
As I say, I'm trying not to get carried away, but even that part for me, Derek, is a huge. That's huge. That is huge. And the tweet that was put out the other day from
Border Police,
rubbing salt into the wounds of all those Celtic fans by saying this will be the largest travelling support of all time or whatever, that really has got them. It has ruined them, actually, I would say. I think that Celtic fans would say to themselves, right, we can handle them get to the final if it was in any other city in the world. The fact it's in Seville and we've claimed it is quite incredible, Derek. And the stories that we will have and fans will have from this, regardless what happens, will go on for years and years and will eclipse everything that they've heard from them. It's fantastic. I saw a tremendous reply, and it was actually a personal reply that I've got. I'm in a chat, a WhatsApp chat group with a few of my friends, and one of them's a Celtic fan, and he tried to put a wee bit in there, playing it down, saying Seville, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. To the reply he got from one of my other friends was, do you still have any pesetas left from your trip when you were there? Which I thought was, that's the reply for me. I didn't get involved in it, but I thought, that is a reply and a half, and that is true because it is so. We have claimed Seville from Celtic. Did you ever think that would happen, Derek?
Amazing. So on that great note, as we said, this will be our last podcast this season. We will be back next season, obviously. Dave and I, well, certainly myself, I'll be away for that final and the Scottish Cup final, and then I'm promptly back to work a couple of days later after I come back. So we'll maybe try and get a podcast out depending on what happens. You might get some sort of drunken, unedited thing that comes out if we do actually win this thing. But we will certainly be back next season. We'll need to do something with the format and try and make the podcast shorter, because I simply can't do the work anymore. Too much family life going on, and work as well. I can't do the thing, and it's making my blood pressure rise all the time. So we will be back. Dave, any last words?
Rangers, just please do it.
Yes.
Rangers, please do it. This would be a crowning achievement. This would be a chance for us to have immortality, for players in this club to have immortality. We can't stress it enough. We as a fan base, for what we've been through in the last 10 years or so, we've been to hell and back, Derek, and for this, if this comes to fruition, this will just eclipse everything. Absolutely everything. So please, Rangers, by hook or by crook, please just win this, please.
On that note, thanks for listening and goodbye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.